This podcast is for the sales professionals at every level. If you want to convert more prospects into paying customers, then you're in the right place. Because Joe has spent the last 3 decades mastering buying behaviors, personality types, emotional and logical triggers. This is the Sales Genius Podcast. It's only a numbers game if you want educated. It's time to get educated. Let's go! Educated. Want to learn how to close deals. Want to learn how to sell more. That's what we're here for at Sales Genius. Let's go!
Hi, it's me, Joe, your host. Welcome back to the Sales Genius Podcast and War Games group if you're over in the group watching as we do. So this week, I am welcoming Clifford Starks, a former professional athlete and UFC fighter. Okay, so he's got some ideas on how you should be fighting for your goals, right? He's become a trailblazing coach for entrepreneurs striving to live their greatest life. And let's be real, we should be doing that. He embodies resilience using his experiences in and out of the cage to inspire others to transform life's challenges into opportunities for growth. This episode is the inner warrior turning pressure into performance. Now, Clifford shares his insights on breaking through comfort zones and living in what he calls the next 11, which we're going to have to learn what that is, a mindset where the extraordinary becomes possible. With a passion for helping leaders stretch their limits and to embrace their journey, Clifford's going to teach you and I how to harness our inner warrior and turn pressure into performance. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or you're just starting out, Clifford's wisdom and strategies will help you to unleash extraordinary potential in you. So let me go ahead and grab JR to pull up on the screen. VIP, Jessica's here. Coach Dan is here as well. Coach Dan's got a graphic for those of you that are just listening. You're totally missing out. We're not even going to tell you what's on it. So welcome,
right,
VIPs.
you have to suffer.
Yes, appreciate you guys being here. I'm also going to bring Clifford up on the stage. Clifford, welcome. I'm going to move us all around because, you know, you're kind of the big deal. Oh, no, the computer believes I am. Sorry, bud. Okay, we'll switch. All right. So Clifford coming live from the ring, the cage, as we call it. Clifford, thank you so much for joining us here on the Sales Genius Podcast. Also live in the War Games group over there on Facebook. So thanks so much for carving out your day. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time. And I also love the intro where it talks about it's only a numbers game if you're not educated, because that's 100% true.
Right now I'm already liking you because you agree with me. So that's one of the first key steps. I like that. Guys, understand, he's already taken the pressure from this and turning it. He's turning it around. So I love it. So I'm going to ask you a question first, even though I sent you the video and told you I don't do it that way, but live on the edge.
That makes it fun. Let's see if I can turn it into fuel, into performance.
Let's see what it is. Okay, so your experience as a professional athlete, the UFC fighter, has clearly influenced your coaching approach. I put the website going down across the bottom. If you go to the website, there's a quiz for you to take up at the top. You might talk about it, may not. But give me like 2 key lessons that you learned from fighting in the cage that entrepreneurs can now apply to handle pressure and excel in business. Because other than, you know, Jessica pissing us off every once in a while, we just want to know, what can we do? What can we do? How do we fight through to the next level? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So first, I talk about the North Star. And the North Star is knowing what you want. Like, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? And it's one of those things, you don't just say 1 why, you say 4 whys or 5 whys. Because we have programming, and sometimes we don't do things because we want to do them. We do them because we think we're obligated to do it. And so I never stepped inside of a cage because I felt obligated to do it. Actually, my parents were not exactly happy that I stepped inside of a cage, but I was. It was something that I wanted to do. So follow your North Star. Go after what you want, because you're going to end up going after what you want eventually. And it's better to do it while you're alive than when you're on the other side of life. And then
What
the
does it
second,
mean if your parents put you in a cage? Just
what is
asking
it?
for a friend.
Oh,
Yeah. What does it mean if your parents put you in the cage? That's what I
so
want to
if
know.
you're,
Is
yeah,
that
if your
wrong?
parents,
Yeah.
if your parents put you in the cage, we all have ways we think we're supposed to be. And everyone is doing the best that they know with what they have. And sometimes people will give you a skill set that wasn't meant for you. It was meant for them. And they give it to you and you're half of who you were meant to be. And so when I connect with someone, I really want to know why they want to do what they want to do. And I'll even give you an example right now. I was training a woman for fitness specifically. And I asked her, why are you doing this? She goes, yeah, I want to get my health right and I want to be able to um, live longer and do all the things that I'm supposed to do. And it just wasn't hitting. It wasn't hitting. I was just, my BS meter was going
It
off.
was not genuine.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. And I go, no, why do you really want to do it? She goes, do you really want to know? Well, that's why I asked.
Right.
Now, before I even say it, because these were her words, not mine, am I allowed to throw a cuss word in there every now and again?
Fuck
If
yeah,
I'm
go
not,
for
it's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
So she leans over and she whispers to me, I want to be the sexiest bitch on the beach.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I'm like, there we go. This is what we're talking about. Now we're hitting something. Now we can do something.
That's a North Star.
Yes,
Let's be
that's
real.
the North Star.
Yes.
That's the North
Yeah,
Star.
I have a friend who's a fitness trainer, and her slogan is "Look better naked." Right?
I
That's
like
what
it.
she
I
tells
like
everybody.
it.
She goes, "Ultimately, isn't that what we're trying to do? We want to
Yep.
look better naked."
Yep.
And I'm like,
Yep.
"Okay, that's valid."
Yep. And so one is the North Star, and then the second one I'll give is measure what matters and measure what matters to you. Because it's easy to measure what matters, but if we don't really care, it's gonna drive us crazy. But if we can find measurements that both increase impact and income, well, that's worth measuring. I can get behind that. And so when I have people measure things, I really ask them questions to understand how their mind plays with the world, because everybody plays differently. Everybody thinks different things are important. So I need to figure out what are the measurements that's going to actually move them forward on their journey and keep them building momentum, because momentum is the name of the game. If you have momentum on your side, you can do things. If you don't, that inertia, it sucks. Like it's like pushing a train, and no one wants to do that.
Agreed. I love it. I love it. All right. So we have opened up, besides Dan's going to have a bunch of questions. We know this. Right?
Yeah.
It's just inherent to Dan. So, but when we look at this, Dan, and you know it's true. So
I have a curious nature.
exactly. That's what he is. He's the quizzer. Yeah, that comes in. So give me a little bit. Now, I don't want to steal the thunder, right? Because I told you we're giving you access to a bunch of entrepreneurs. This is going out to people that they've got to sell something today if they're going to eat, right? There's a bunch of people out there just trying to push their business ahead of where it's at now. I love this measure what matters, because there's so many things that go out and tell you should measure these things, but and people out there going, well, this works, right? And if you get the wrong fool giving you advice, right, you're out there chasing impressions, right? And you go, impressions mean nothing without actual website forms being filled in. Come on. So when I look at that, I love that it says what's going to give you income or impact. So I absolutely love that. But we open up the door and we go, okay, Clifford, you've got a bunch of entrepreneurs out there that are looking to say, hey, I want to know what next 11 is. I want to know, how do I push myself forward and turn that pressure into performance? And I want to just hand the show to you and say, let's go. Drop some expertise on us.
Yeah. So I say the next 11, we get, at least this is what I see in my belief systems. We can get hung up by achieving that 10. And a 10 doesn't really exist, because a 10 takes you to your next 10. And so when I did 10, I'm like, what's your next 11? What are you going to do to perfection? And when you get to perfection, now you have a new perfection to achieve or go after, a new excellence. And so when I look at excellence, one thing, again, I absolutely love the intro, because it's so easy to say it's a numbers game. But if I said to fighters, hey, you only have to get knocked out a certain amount of times and then you'll learn the lessons, like, actually, you don't want to get knocked out at all. So why would people do that in sales? Because that's what they're doing. They're getting knocked out left and right, not knowing what's happening, and their psychology is like, oh my goodness, this sucks. Because they're getting knocked out left and right, instead of saying, like, okay, how do I effectively articulate my message, and how do I effectively find the marketplace to articulate that message with, and connect in the right medium to the market for my message. And now all of a sudden it doesn't feel so bad.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree, because I feel like, at least in my entrepreneurship journey, I definitely went through that. I think, like, my background was operations, completely just operations, technical processes, and sales, no way. But, this year I committed to myself, like, I'm going to grow my business. And so I started learning more about sales. And so I was like going after tactics that weren't applicable for my business. And so with my project management nature, I do things in iterative. Like, I'll do something, measure, look at the results. He's so adorable.
Yes, I would say that's the pressure part. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, stay back behind the cage, son. Don't come in the cage. Yes. Honey, no. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll do something, measure, pivot, and then because of that, I'm able to figure out, okay, now I know what my plan is. This is what I'm gonna do. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing, like, so integrity is really important to me. Like, it's a really, let me finish this and I'll give you some milk. Okay. As a 3-year-old, certain things are very important, like glasses of milk.
Immediately. Yes.
So when
Dan is the same way, so don't worry about that.
I wish someone would give me some milk right now, and I'm really angry that I don't have that. Something needs to change, Clifford.
He goes,
help me.
I knew something was off. So I'm going through the journey, and integrity is really important to me. Really, really important to me. And as I was going through it, I realized that I was actually better than I thought that I was. And what I mean by that, it really is in the individual. It's not in me. It's about them discovering them and me asking the right questions to discover them. But there's marketing tactics out there that are showing you, they're dangling the tactic in front of you and saying, hey, this is the thing. This is what's going to save your business. Hey, this thing over here is going to save your business. Hey, this over here is going to save your business. And people are falling prey for it. And I get it. It actually makes sense. Because if you're under stress and you have all these people telling you this is the thing, that's the thing, that's the thing, well, then you go after the thing, and then the thing doesn't work as well as you thought it was going to work. And then they say, oh, well, you just got to give it time. But again, if I and I didn't get this because as a personal trainer, I knew in personal training, I had to get people wins right away, like right away. Because if I didn't, they're not going to stay. It sucks. In their mind, it sucks. And so in business, I'm like, wow, you're able to BS people a lot easier and tell them, oh yeah, just give it 3 months. You got to give it 3 more months. Oh, well, you just got to give it 3 more months. Okay, how about
past the cancellation period? Yes. right? It's 60-day guarantee, but you need to give it 3 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
And so how do you move people beyond that kind of thinking?
Just by having a conversation with them and asking questions that other people have not asked them.
Like what?
That's a question.
What's working in your business? And then they usually start going into what's not working in their business, because that's what the mind likes to do. And it likes to go to the negative. But
every day
you start with what's working, and then you ask them what's not working. Then you ask them, okay, how do you acquire a lead? Then you usually ask them. Most people don't know who their audience is, or they're trying to talk to multiple audiences when we just don't have, at least from what I know, small business, mid-sized businesses don't have the money to throw a lot of marketing dollars into different segments of the marketplace. Like, you got to get really, really dialed in on who your people are and who you serve, because you do have limited resources. And so I start asking them and figure out, oh, they don't even know who they're talking about. And it makes a lot of sense, because you can't see the forest from the trees.
And so how do you bring people to the trees?
Asking the question. It's interesting because it goes back to that same thing that we said in the beginning. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to serve? Why do you want to serve them? How are you going to serve them?
Right. And so, like, it sounds like you want to move people from their obsession with external validation to focusing on self-growth, right? Rather than just chasing success. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
We look at it even with the word success. Like, my definition of it is both internal and external. So getting to the achievement, but also being fulfilled in what you're doing. And a lot of times it's like people get into things and they mean it in well intentions. Everything that I get into, I mean it in well intentions, and I'm learning lessons left and right. Like, holy crap, there was a lot of lessons I didn't know. But to be fulfilled and to achieve at the same time and be like, wow, this feels nice. And sometimes you got to get a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit of like digging, a little bit of understanding yourself before you know, like, oh crap. And even with marketing, for instance, like I so get it, because our mind wants to win so badly. Like, it wants to win so badly. Or like, well, I can serve anybody. I went through the same thing. I went through the same thing that other people went through, because we think like we can. And in reality, some of us can. But do we really want to? And can we talk to multiple markets at the same time? We can't. Just like it's going to fall in deaf ears.
No, I agree.
say
And again, sorry, Jess. Nobody ever says, who's the generalist that can help me in this scenario?
Yeah.
Right. We don't ever look for that. Right. We know that if there's something wrong with my eye, I don't want to go to my regular doctor and go, hey man, take a stab at it. What do you think?
Stab.
Right. Yes.
Quick story.
I'm going to move us around on the screen. There you go. Let's have
a really quick story. And I do want to get back to your question, Jessica. So my wife was having eye trouble, and we took her to a generalist. We went to a generalist, and the generalist, she seems fine to me. And I was talking with a friend of mine about, he's like, bro, take her to a specialist, because a friend of mine went blind. And I'm like, wow. Well, a specialist it is. So I ended up taking her to a specialist.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, there's literally, it's a soft pitch, underthrow. And there's literally something, I don't even know the terminology. It's like arthritis in the eye. I didn't even know that was a thing.
No
arthritis
kidding.
in the eye. So she was a couple of days away from being blind. Wow. And it's those little things, like a learning lesson here and a learning lesson there can absolutely change your life.
Agreed. Jessica, question.
Yeah, no, my question was going to be a little bit further back, but I was going to ask if you found like a correlation between people that need to kind of reprogram themselves and then being able to identify their Northern Star.
Correlation, yeah, for sure. Because if you don't even know that your programming is off, there's no way you're going to find a North Star. Because even if you do, it's not even yours. It doesn't even exist for you. And so, yeah, when a person understands, like I actually even needed to understand this is a fully internal game. And at one time for me, like I wanted everyone to win no matter what. Like I'm like, I can help everyone win. I can help everybody. And then it's like, holy crap, I got to help the people who need it. And then it was like, holy crap, I got to help the people who want it. You can't help the people who need it, and they need it because they don't want it.
Right.
And but how do you define that? Because someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I really want this. I really want this change. I want this growth. I'm willing to do the work." How do you recognize whether or not they're sincere?
I got to ask really, really good questions, and that's a great question, by the way. And I also got to see, like, I had one guy, and I screwed this up. I screwed it up so bad. So
we're all relating right now, just so you know. We're all right there going. We're going. Yes. Yes.
I had a guy, and I told him we were going to meet at this space at 7 a.m. And he goes, I can't do that. Like, that's so early for me. And you go, dude, you said, like, I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want this? And you said a 10. Like, so just waking up on time, like, that's going to deter you from this? And then I realized, like, holy crap, his 10 is really a 3 to me, because I excel for excellence. Like, I'm like, you do this, you do this, you do this. And so when we got to the bottom of it, I realized people don't even define what their 10 is. So I said, like, okay, a 10 is someone who's willing to do whatever it takes. A 1 is like, I don't care. I'm not going to do any of it. Even when I know what to do, I'm not doing it. And so as we got deeper and deeper into it, I'm like, oh my goodness, your 10's a 3. Like, that's not a 10. That's a 3. And he goes, yeah, I guess I am a 3.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Maybe
and the ones that only ask the questions are called assholes. Right? They just want to ask about all the information, have no desire to implement it. But, I was sitting over here going, I'm not meeting you at 7 in the morning. I worked on this body, right? Yep. I worked on this body. I'm not giving it up. I'm going to go meet you at 7 in the morning. No way. Yep. I need that extra sleep. Press that snooze. Yeah.
What did you learn from getting knocked out, Clifford?
That I could get back up. And of all things, one of my clients says, I finally got you. And I didn't know what he meant by that. Like, I was just like, I was kind of clueless, to be honest. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you get me? And he goes, I know you never wanted to get knocked out in the UFC. Like, you specifically talked about that. But I really thought you were full of crap. You talk about keeping your chin up and doing the things that you need to do and making it happen. And he's like, I thought you were full of crap until it actually happened. And I go, holy crap. He didn't realize how many times I had to lose to even get into a space to have the opportunity to have that happen to me. Like, I go, dude, I have lost way more than just that moment. And what I saw was people only see what they see. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know what you've done. They don't know your struggle. They just know that you're crushing it somewhere. And they go, well, this person can crush it and I can't crush it because look how good they are. But they don't ever ask what the story was. So I was like, oh, wow. Like, holy crap, I'm constantly learning things too as I go through the process.
It's funny, right? Because we want to shield all those things. We don't want to tell people the story of getting there.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. There's a drive to be like, well, look, I've made it. I can help you make it too. But there's no connection there.
Yeah.
And so I think I need to get in a fight and get knocked out to just see,
I'm
what that's
volunteering,
like.
Dan. I volunteer, Dan. We're local to one another. I have no problem with fighting you.
Actually,
It's gonna be a good thing.
when I boxed for a very short amount of time, the biggest fear was getting my nose broken. And after that happened, it was like, well, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I actually got a lot better at boxing, or maybe a lot less worse at boxing after that happened.
Yeah.
And I tried to bring that in to my experiences. Do you do that with your clients? You talk about like, hey, I went through this awful thing. Let me tell you what that's like.
Yeah. And the other thing, one, I love the quote behind you because it's very true. And my second fight back, my mind was thinking about that flying knee. Like it was thinking about it. It remembered it. Our minds want to protect us. And it does the best to protect us. But I got a trick because I figured it out. What I do is I act before the story comes in. Like, crap, I didn't come up with something to stop you. He's already doing it.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah,
I do say action solves everything. I just forgot to say act before you think.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's what you look at. Put that on a t-shirt, Clifford.
Yeah.
So that becomes
it, and then the brain's like, no, you were gonna crap. Oh wow, we didn't die.
So that becomes a muscle memory, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, because here's my question. You're on the mat, you get up after the 2.5 count, and you're still kind of seeing stars. Obviously, it's the muscle memory, the training, and just the discipline. But what do you do above that? Because that's not enough. Because you're going back down it if that's the case.
There's a
fight dirty, JR. Fight.
He said.
What else is new?
So this was from Myron Golden. I really like it. He says amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. Ooh. And what I focus on doing is I focus on getting my mind right, my heart right, and my skills right. And I let whatever happens happen. I know I'm going to learn something. I learn from failure and success. I think we're taught that failure is good. And I believe that our minds are applying meaning all the time. So I want to apply meaning like everything is serving me. Everything serves me. Success serves me. Failure serves me. Methodology serves me. Doing certain things serve me. Not doing certain things serve me. And so when I'm out, I know my muscle memory is going to take over. And if it doesn't, thank God it's never happened before because that would suck. But if it doesn't, then there's next time. There's next time and going like, okay, I wasn't prepared this time, but I'm going to practice the skills and do the things and train in a way so that when it comes, because emotions come. I'd rather have we're going to sometimes have a knee-jerk reaction. We're human. So I'd rather have the positive knee-jerk reaction than the negative knee-jerk reaction. And that comes from practicing it. So that when things don't go your way, and they don't, that you have the reaction that is necessary to get to where you need to go.
I like it. So here's a question for you. In your training, in your fighting and all that, I'm just going to transfer it over to entrepreneurship, right? Mm-hmm. One of the key things that has to be there is what I call the R word, right? Resilience. Mm-hmm. How does one develop that muscle of resilience?
So my son came in asking for milk.
Yep.
And it really didn't do anything to me. It didn't do anything to me because I've practiced at, it's called frame and reframe. So if we apply a positive meaning to everything that happens to us, our mind will look for positive meaning. If we apply a negative meaning, our mind will look at a negative meaning. So I could have gone like, I'm on a podcast. Like, but I'm like, well, my 3-year-old's going to be my 3-year-old.
Right.
Now, was I born with that? No. I have 2 kids now, an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old. And when I first did it, it wasn't as easy. Taking the breath, taking a calm, resetting, seeing the positive out of it. But then I did it again, and then again, and then again. And eventually you get into this space where it's your new knee-jerk reaction, where it's like, oh, things don't really faze you. How did you get there? Well, I got there from momentum. I did one thing repeatedly. And I had one of my coaches say this, this was back in my football days. He says, perfect practice makes perfect, not practice makes perfect. Because if I'm practicing the wrong things, I'm going to practice the incorrect things perfectly. That's not a good thing.
Right.
And so it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Right. Miss 100 free throws, you're not better at free throws.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Ask Shaq. What? He said that. No. But
what I hear you saying is you're staying super present. And, and I was watching you with your child, with the milk, and I was thinking, yeah, if that was me, I'd be feeling wound up. Right? Like, oh man, I'm on a podcast. Like this is, and it's not even, it is recorded, but it's live. And I mean, I'm even streaming that, right? So it's super streamed.
Yeah.
And so there's that whole story that can begin. Oh, what are they going to think? And I need to be professional and all that. And I thought it was really cool that you just hung in there with them. Like you stayed present. How do you teach people how to do that?
So
about the milk,
I got to tell you that.
Yeah.
You send your 3-year-old over to their house and
yeah, I'll tell you.
Go see JR. He's got a lot of milk. Yeah. And then we test JR. Yes. Right.
So even the asking of that question makes me emotional.
Good job, Dan.
But emotion's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who's doing it.
Make the cage fighter cry. That's
his goal. That's the goal.
Cool.
Oh, jeez.
Because Clifford didn't have milk as a child. Dan, and you're bringing that back up right now.
Bringing the memory back.
Upset. He's really upset that he doesn't have Jessica's hair either.
Can we let the man
I'm
answer
mad
the
about
question?
that too. I don't have it either.
Can we please let the man answer the question?
It makes it so and even with the experience that we're all having right now, it makes me emotional, but it makes me emotional in a positive way. And this is why. I go, the game's not that simple, is it? Yeah, it is. There's something called monkey see, monkey do. And so in just seeing how I responded to my child, that sticks into your brain. And now you get the choice to use it and let it grow or not. And so as a leader, what was really interesting with me, I say, take what you do seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. You're going to do your best every single time, every single moment, every single minute that you can. And when your energy's low, like my wife, when she hasn't eaten anything, whoo! Oh man. Oh, I have gotten really good at either getting her food, letting her rest, or staying away.
Getting her food or getting away.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, what are my options?
I don't say hypoglycemic anymore. I say hypoglybici. And then she goes and finds food because she doesn't want me to call her that. Yes. So.
And so it's one of those moments where you say, oh, wow, I'm displaying leadership on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. It's just on display. And when you show leadership, it allows other people to see, oh, that's leadership. Like one of my missions is I want to influence people to be loving, conscious, and abundant. And how do you do it? By being loving, conscious, and abundant yourself. When you are a certain way, so will other people be. And so I ultimately, what I needed to learn was they have to be their own leader. I don't have to be their leader. I don't have to work the muscle for them. I have to teach them how to think like a leader, how to be like a leader, how to act like the leader that they were meant to be, how to show up in the way that only they can show up and spread their wings so that they can do amazing things on their journey.
And I get that you don't make that usual mistake that, and I've seen people, in your field, who become speakers, become coaches, and they start saying, hey, hi, brother, did you get your milk?
That's
He did not get milk, and this is what I'm going to do because he's come back for round 2. We're going to go for a walk, but I am listening to you, Dad.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
we're heading
a lot of speakers in your field will say, hey, I got knocked down. I got back up. You got to do that too. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's their rap. But I get that's not what you're doing. Like it's not just don't do what I've done and that's success. So if somebody shows up and they have tried and they're discouraged and they're burnt out, and it's more than just, well, you got to get back up again. What is it? What's next, Clifford?
That's a great question. So I look at resilience, and I think a lot of people get the name wrong, where resilience is, I just got to keep bumping into this thing until it becomes a reality. That's not resilience to me. And I don't even think that's resilience in the definition of resilience. Resilience is the ability to do things in the way that you do things and get the result that you're looking to get. And so I've had clients actually say, what would I do in a certain situation? But they're not programmed anything like me. Like they're nothing like me. So it almost makes no sense to ask that question. It's more like, well, how about we ask the question, what strengths do you have? And how do my strengths equate to the result that I'm looking to get? And so there's a saying, they ask the question. I'll give you an example of one of my knee-jerk reactions. So they ask a question, okay, would you rather be a warrior in a garden or a gardener during a war? And I instantly said, warrior in a garden. That's my programming because I'm a warrior. So I go do warrior-like things. That's who I am. But there is no wrong answer. There's just the answer that you have. So if you're a gardener and you're in a war, you can negotiate with a warrior that you will make sure that the warrior is fed. And this is how you will go about it. And the warrior who might not know how to garden could negotiate with the gardener so that they can get food and they can eat. And so I start looking at life as, okay, we have all of these opportunities, we have all of these resources, but our knee-jerk reactions are the things that keep us where we're at.
Got it. That's perfect. So, and I think that's a great place to stop right there. Clifford, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We've gone a little bit over. Thank you for getting the milk, number one, right? And then because now I feel like, more connected to you as a parent. And then, but thanks for sharing that information with us all. So thank you, everybody. I want to say, go out and sell something. So hang tight for us, Clifford.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about sales, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the challenges that may be. Let's talk about sales. A little bit